two, three, and.
Listen, I want to welcome everybody this evening to Real Talk, Real Change. And we're going to get started. I have my special guest here, Daniel Williams. And I had Daniel on here before. But it's been probably like a year. It's been a year ago, basically.
Yeah, it's been a year.
Yeah, it's been a year ago. So I'm not going to hold us up too long because the enemy really tried to not get him on here today because
Really
he
fought.
knew that he has a word for these men tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and let Dan introduce himself, and then we're just going to go ahead and get started and let him go ahead and share what he has to share for the men.
Well, I want to say again, man, thank you for having me on again. Thank you for considering me for this opportunity. Again, yeah, my name is Daniel J. Williams. I'm a men's mindset and performance coach and consultant. And abbreviated version of what I do is I help men unlearn their survival behavior and course correct the mis-centered idea of what manhood is.
Right.
And what that looks like is, I'll say that you can almost categorize men in like three different distinct groups. Either they're passive men, or they're operating from a performance driven identity, or they're reluctant to be men that can express and communicate their honest emotions and feelings. Those are the three things that in the first two it's an all survival behavior.
Right.
What it is. So when I said about the being passive and having a performance driven identity, would you believe that both of those categories are both people pleasers? I didn't think that I was a people pleaser until I was sitting in the spirit just gave it to me that I was a people pleaser. And no, I'm not a people pleaser. But a lot of the successes that I had, like I've been training for many years. I trained in Charlotte, North Carolina. I trained in DC. I trained in Connecticut. I came back to Charlotte, and then I also trained back in Sumter, South Carolina. And I opened my first facility. And what really pushed me to do it was because somebody said that I couldn't do it. I got pushback and resistance. So I did it. You wouldn't think that would be people pleasing. Right. But I enjoyed training, but I didn't do it for me. I did it for them in a way because I had to prove that, you know what, I am going to do it. Right. So it ends up being an empty success. And I know a lot of men that walk around having empty success because, you know, they're proving a point. But, you know, a passive man, a lot of us are passive and we don't like to identify as that or want to admit it. But some guys are just, you know, they're just more easygoing. And you know what? They'd rather keep the peace. They don't want confrontation. So what they don't agree with or what goes against their boundaries or their values, they go along anyway, simply to keep the peace.
Right.
And because they...
But you know, I'm going to cut you off. But you know what? And some women will look at that as a weak man.
They, you know what? And here's the conundrum. They want the man to say yes to everything and go along with everything. And then when they get it, he's a weak man. And the man, he is weak because, and I'm going to say it, fellas, you are weak if you're going along with everything just because. I'll give you this. Let me go back to give a biblical example. Let's go to Adam and Eve.
Right.
We're not even going to talk about all of this. Well, why did he let her talk to the serpent and all of this and this? Because that's a whole nother thing. It's just like they didn't know what deception was. They didn't know anything about being deceived. So they were innocent. They looked at everything through innocent eyes. But This is what women, they want a man to appease them in every way, and then when he does, they call him weak. That's what led Adam into eating the fruit and bringing sin, because of his affections for Eve.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't think about the higher standard, what he knew he was supposed to do. He just had affections for her. And that's where a lot of men stand with. Yeah, they yes everything because of their affections, because they want to keep her happy. They want to keep her, they don't want to upset her. They don't want her to fall out of grace, so to speak.
Right. Yeah, no, that's good, because that's true though. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, instead of them coming in and saying, hey, instead of them first having, let me slow down. I don't want to get ahead of myself and get all over the place. This survival behavior, it really stems from not even really wanting to please any women,
right,
or to please people so much. It really stems from childhood, from some way. Not to sound like a psychiatrist or psychologist or anything like a therapist, but it really does. I didn't think that I was a person that dealt with rejection, but I sat around and I thought about, you know what? A lot of, I'm gonna show you. I competed on a high level, just because I felt like, you know what? I'm gonna show them that I can't be beat. I'm gonna show them that you can't keep me from getting into that. I'm gonna show you that I can run this business and it's gonna be successful. I'm gonna show you that I'm gonna get great results from these clients. It was from rejection, because that's the only reason why a man goes to prove himself.
Yeah.
I realized that I was trying to I didn't realize I was trying to prove myself. I thought that I was just being good at what I did. And that I was showing everybody that how great I was. I was being a people pleaser. And it wasn't because I was a passive. There's the two groups of people pleasers. There's the passive man that just goes along to go along. And then there's the man who's driven by performance. He's performance driven.
Right.
He performs. He does everything. I'll say, let me see if that's like athletes. Some athletes, you hear a lot of guys, they didn't even really want to play sports, but they did it for their dad. You have people that went into being attorneys or CPAs or nurses or whatever. It's not something that they really wanted to do, but they did it for their parents because they pushed them. That's what would have made them be proud of them. So they didn't want to disappoint them. So their performance was, they put on a show and act like they really liked this thing. They got the good grades and everything. You would think they had a passion for it. And then in the end, it was an empty success because it was performance driven. They only did it to please someone else.
Right.
And that's where a lot of men, we grew up with those layers of identities on us. And that's where, and now it started from childhood and it kept on, we kept putting another identity on and another identity on, like older cousins and uncles. When a young boy goes to school, let me ask you, see if you can answer this. When, I know you're not a guy, obviously, but I know you've heard it. When a young boy goes to school, what's one of the first questions that the uncles and older cousins ask a young boy when he first starts school?
When he first starts school?
Yeah.
Maybe did they meet a girl or something?
How many girlfriends did you get?
Yeah, that's
so they're not thinking about girls, but because they look up to their uncle, they look up to their older cousins, now they feel like they have to go and get girlfriends at school.
Right.
Something that wasn't even on their mind.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's one identity. So that's the start of, I have to do this. And if I don't do this, they're not going to like me. Or I'm not going to be. And the same thing in friend groups. You know, they're saying the peer pressure.
Right.
We learned it. So that was one of the first things of all boys, all men. We all went through that. How many girlfriends you got? And all through school is like, so how many girls? Oh, you kiss a girl yet? Oh boy. And then they like, I'm gonna show you how to be a player. It's not on their mind, but they're being conditioned. And so now we felt like we have to get so many girls. We got to get this many girlfriends. We got to get this many phone numbers. And it was conditioned into us. And that was an identity that had nothing to do with who we really are.
Wow. Well, that's true. That's true. That's real good. Mm-hmm.
So that's like one of the things in it. And then in that, so that means whatever the girls like, that's what I have to become. So now I'm taking on a different identity for every girl that I like or every girl that I talk to, because every girl's got a different taste. Every woman has a different taste. So I have to become that man. I have to become that guy for this woman and this. So I'm putting on a whole bunch of identities, and then they wonder why we don't know who we are, or we don't know how to communicate and express ourselves because we don't know who we are.
Wow.
And that's just with women. When it comes to the workplace and choosing careers, you know, at first they taught, well, back in my generation, it was, you know, they a lot of trades. They taught us to have a lot of trades like carpentry or plumbing or electrician, being a mechanic, different things like that. And so those things actually, a lot of men, they took it as being their identity and not just a role. So one thing I want to say to men is that our identity, and I'm gonna take this to a biblical place, because at the end of the day, we've tried all of the formulas, we've tried all of the steps, we've tried all of the methods, we've tried the 5 keys, we've tried the 7 keys, we tried the 3 keys, and none of them have worked. The Bible is ancient wisdom that'll stand the test of time.
There will.
What we have to be first is realize that we are sons of God. We're sons of God. We're his creation. He said that everything he made was made very good. He said it was very good. He even went as far as saying, I made you intrinsically and distinctly different. You're not like anybody else. So if we get out of the pitfall of comparison, if we stop comparing ourselves to other men and realize that we have an identity that's us, unique and distinct to us. He said, fearfully and wonderfully made. That means you're just intrinsically different from everybody else. Even this, let me say it as this. Identical twins, they don't even share the same fingerprint.
Right.
If God made identical twins that have different fingerprints, why are we comparing ourselves to another man? Identical twins don't even share the same fingerprint. That's distinct difference. That's the distinct difference between the two of them. I'm a trainer, and I was in the arena with several other trainers. They say that the field is saturated, but no one trained the way that I trained, because no one could care the way that I cared for my clients. That makes the difference. That's what makes the difference with men. If between comparing ourselves and competing with each other, that's why it's hard to pinpoint where we went wrong, but that's a strong thing on why we kind of are lost within ourselves and then lost with each other. We don't have any real camaraderie because of that.
Wow.
I found that camaraderie is not really prevalent amongst a lot of us, because we're fearful of being in a room with men who have more experience or wisdom than we have. That's a great place to be.
Yeah.
You want to be in a room full of men who are stable, who've, not to say proven themselves, but they've established something great. They've established great influence. They have a reputation that's outstanding. Their name means more than their net worth.
Wow.
That's biblical. It says choose a good name over silver and gold. Reason why? Because someone mentions your name as being someone who's integral and trustworthy and reliable. They're apt to say, hey, well, put me in touch with that guy. You could be a multimillionaire running a Fortune 100 company, but if you're not integral, you're not reliable, you're not trustworthy, nobody's going to want to do business with you.
Right.
Don't chase the bag. Make a good reputation from your name. Because also, it's going to matter to your family. Young men don't think about things like that, but then again, it's up to us. All of you who are the older men, more seasoned, wiser, vintage. If you don't establish that and put that in the young men, that the reputation that you put on your name now, the reputation you're building around your name, it's either going to elevate your family or it's going to hold your family back.
Right.
Because if you have a name that people they like, that guy, nah, that's what your family's going to be under. But if people hear your name and like, yo, that's a good guy, hey, yeah, you made the right choice with him. Right. That puts your family in a good position when they mention your name. Hey, I'm so-and-so's wife. Oh, so-and-so is my father. It's like, that's your father? That's your husband? Oh, you'll get approval. Right. You'll get things happening for you because of a good reputation of your name. But we don't think about those things because we teach so much individualism in this world now.
Yeah.
I know I'm going on and on.
No, that's okay because I mean, they need to hear it.
I like well, I guess I'll share a story about because our whole topic is about internal transformation versus behavior modification. I've been homeless on 3 occasions. And not due to any fault of my own. I didn't mismanage my money. I didn't have any serious addiction to where I was working and everything. And it was God's plan. He humbled me in a way. But I'm gonna just go tell you this one story. I was all right. I've had 5 DUIs. I've totaled 7 cars. I had 2 DUIs that I was going to court for at the same time. One in South Carolina and the other was in North Carolina. Because I got the second one while I already had a case that was under 7 years, I was supposed to do a year mandatory. I was sitting in my car one night. Here, I'm DUI. I'm still drinking. I had a bottle of Cavassier in one hand. I had a bag of Coke in the other. And I was doing them. And I guess in the spirit, the Lord just came upon me. I felt real sorrowful. I was in tears and I was thinking about the court case. And I was like, you know what, Lord? I don't want you to just get me out of this. I don't want you to just get me out of this. And I'm not asking you for that. I want you to change my heart. Because if you change my heart, I don't want the desire or the taste for this anymore. You remove that from me, I wouldn't end up in this situation again. Behavior modification would have been me asking him, because what we would normally do, if you get me out of this, I promise I'll stop. I won't do it. But I wanted a transformation. I wanted my heart to change. And when my heart changed from not wanting to, not just chasing after pleasure and chasing after pleasure, it would change the things that I do. It would change my boundaries. It'll change my values. It'll change my outlook.
Right.
Behavior modification is this. I put it in these words. Behavior modification is just the same thing as a business rebranding. They change management and they rebrand it, and they're representing the same business to you, but they just put it under a different name. Nothing about the systems of the business has changed. They just put a new logo over it. That's the same thing with behavior modification, going through steps. So, you know, if a man wants to be a better husband, there's no such thing as just being a better husband. It's just being a husband. You do the things that a husband do. You don't have to say a faithful husband. A husband is just faithful. He honors his wife. He honors, the covenant that he made with his wife and before God. It's not about being you want the relationship, you want harmony between you and her. So therefore you're not going to do anything that's going to disrupt that harmony. Right. You're not going to bring another person into it. It doesn't have to always be adultery. I mean, it could be a matter of the way that you communicate. You don't listen. If I don't listen to her and I still want to have my way, that's going to bring disharmony.
Right.
So instead of just like, okay, I'm going to try it, and you sit and you try listening, and it goes on for maybe a month, 2 months, and then you go back to the same way. It wasn't because you wanted to change internally and be like, you know what? I want to be a listener. I want her to feel comfortable and safe with talking about anything to me, and she not have to worry about me retaliating or getting an attitude or walking off as if I didn't hear any word from her.
Right.
That's the difference between behavior modification is like, okay, let me try listening more and saying, I want to understand what she's saying to me. That's the difference between the two.
Wow. Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, and I just like, we talk about insecurity comes from a number of things. I'm working on some things, some different programs that I want to present them in, and I'm gonna talk about biblical men, men from the Bible, in a perspective, in a different light, such as I'm gonna use guys that they pretty much all know, and is saying like, so everybody knows Jacob from the Bible. Jacob, he has the 12 tribes came from Jacob. God changed his name to Israel. This is just for the fathers right here. It's not talked about much, but Jacob or Israel, he showed how he showed favoritism to Joseph because he said that's the son he loved. He said that it was his favorite son, and he showed it when he gave him the coat of many colors. When his brothers went out to the field to work, he didn't send Joseph to work. He sent Joseph to be the supervisor to go and look after the brothers and their behavior. And what that did, and this is the lesson, fathers, when you give too much attention to one child over the others, the other children are going to recognize that.
Of course.
And it's going to bring a fracture between the siblings.
Yep.
It's going to bring a fracture in your home. That thing ended up being generational. The same thing will happen again. That's just something that I would take. I put that together. I saw that in Joseph. I was like, that's not the average look. What I want to do, and it's a biblical thing. It's like, I don't know if men, they know the story about, well, everybody knows about Abraham, and he's the father of faith, right? But he's also a man who couldn't wait. He made an alternative, and he had a son named Ishmael. But here's the thing, just like Adam, he was led by his affections rather than what was the correct thing to do, the higher standard. She said, I'm gonna give you my handmaiden, and do I have to go back through the story, guys? You know, God promised him a son. They were old in age. Right. They couldn't wait. Sarah came up with gave an alternative, said it's taking too long. Sleep with my handmaid. They had a son. Him and the handmaid Hagar, they had a son called Ishmael. Right. Later, God gave them their son Isaac. Mm-hmm. And Sarah didn't. Now that Sarah had her son, she didn't want Hagar and Ishmael around. So this is the thing. What I say about alternatives. This is the moral of the story. Abraham was impatient. Mm-hmm. Instead of him waiting for the process to go through, he had a son that God didn't promise him, Ishmael. This is what I have for you, men. If you don't wait on the process and you choose the short route, mm-hmm. You go the other route, you create an alternative. And then now you got a problem that you didn't have to have before. You created an Ishmael. Mm-hmm. You weren't supposed to have that, but now you have it because you couldn't wait on the process. Right. This is how many of us. I had children before I got married. I had more than one. I had to co-parent with more than one mother. Mm. I created Ishmaels, not calling my children mistakes, but saying as Ishmael, I went out of order. Right. Here's the order that I'm teaching men, that what we ought to do, those of us who are responsible and in a position to talk to younger men, it goes by first a young boy, he grows and he develops his identity, becomes a man who's spiritually and emotionally stable. That's first. You become spiritually and emotionally stable in becoming a man. Then, after you become that man spiritually and emotionally stable, you become financially, relationally stable. You're able to communicate and all of that. And then you don't just date. You don't have multiple girlfriends. You're not supposed to just sow your seeds, because you're building something in life. You're thinking long term. You're establishing something. That's the first duty of a man, to be thinking about longevity. You think about your wife and your children before you even get them. You're already in place and building something. Mm-hmm. You hear it all the time right now. The women want to know, what's his plan? What are you working on? What are you building? What are you doing? That's what a man's supposed to be doing. God told Adam that in the beginning. He gave him work before he gave him Eve. Mm-hmm. So a man is supposed to gain stability, spiritual and emotional stability, then relational, then financial. He's thinking long term, and he dates for the intention of a wife, for someone who's going to be, you're not asking her what she's going to bring to the table, because what it is she'll help enhance what it is you're already doing. Absolutely. But if you're not doing anything, how can she enhance it? Absolutely. She doesn't respect me. You're not doing anything. Give us something to respect. Give us something to brag about. Oh, he's doing this. He's doing this. I met this guy. Yo, he's doing this. He's working on this. He's building this. He's starting this company. He's working in this company, but he got a plan to do this. Right. So you date with the intention of finding a partner that's going to be an asset to you, and you be an asset to her as well. You're both assets to you. Complement each other. I think about it. I say it like this. It's like you're two Fortune 500 companies, and what you're doing is you want to create a merger. You're looking at her strengths and what she's got going on, and she's looking at your strength and what you got going on, and you're also thinking about your weaknesses. You're looking over there and like, yo, she's strong in these areas and she can do this, and that company does this. I don't have that in my company. I could really use that. Same with her. She's like, I'm weak in this. I don't have this going on in my company. When you think about marriage like that, it's like you want the complement. So now there's no weakness between the two of you. Right. She covers your weaknesses. You cover her weaknesses. So there's no weaknesses in you. Now you marry You make her a wife before you make her a mother. We keep being fathers before we become husbands. Mm-hmm. You're not, and I tell guys all the time, and they like look at me like, huh? I like, you're not creating a family because you have kids. You got a son here, a daughter here. You got kids in multiple places. You've created broken homes. It's not a family. A family is a mother and a father and the children dwelling in one residence as one single unit, mm-hmm. not in multiple places. Those are broken homes. Because you can't possibly be a full father to multiple children in multiple places. Right. God is the only one that can be in multiple places simultaneously and be 100% to every person simultaneously, giving them exactly what they need. God is the only one that can do it. The only one. So you're just creating broken homes because there's going to be something that he's going to be missing that you're giving him. You're not going to show up at one of his games because you had to go to that game. You're not going to show up to that dance recital because you had to be over here. So the whole thing about first become a stable man, knowing who you are, knowing what it is that you're going after. So you've built boundaries, and that'll keep you from a whole lot of heartbreak and choosing the wrong one. Because if you know where you're going, you're aligned with your future. You're not going to pick people who are just random. Absolutely. You're not going to pick somebody that's going against your values. You're not a drinker. You're not a smoker. You're not a partier, because you know those things will pull you off your course. You won't choose someone that does those things.
Right. That's crazy. Because so how would you tell someone, or like, I mean, you said that you mentor other young men, whatever. So how do you tell them? Because nowadays they're not even really thinking about that. They're not thinking about even if they're in a relationship, most of them are not even thinking like marriage or anything. Where you have the female that okay, well,
I give them real life. I can only share with them what I've lived through. I'm saying I had before I got married to my first wife. I had two baby mothers. I had two daughters from two different women before I married my first wife. So therefore, the struggle with having to deal with that relationship being broken, I broke all kind of trust and loyalty and everything. So it was real hectic. I'm in family court. So here it is. Now your money's divided. You're not going to be able to see. You're not going to see your children the way you want to see them, because 9 times out of 10, let's be honest, the father that wants to be in his children's life, be a positive force in his children's life, those are the ones who gets the most hell in family court. The ones who don't care about their kids, the baby mothers is running behind them and giving and just doing everything on their behalf. But the men that want to be fathers, we had to go through it. I went through a lot. So I tell the men my story, and then it's up to them to choose to course correct and be like, you know what? I need to be more intentional about what I'm doing, because creating that Ishmael, now he grew, he thought he had to feel like his father didn't love him. I didn't grow up with my father. So I talked to him I never met my father. I never got a chance to meet my father. I talked to my father once in my life. It was my 7th birthday party. I had a big birthday cake. I remember the cake. I talked to him once in my life. I never saw him. And it would have a question in my mind. I asked men, I like, would you want your son or your daughter to be sitting around wondering Wonder why he didn't want to stick around. Wonder why he didn't want to be in my life. It shapes him in a way that it either, in some instances, the absence teach them how to be a better man. Mm-hmm. But why take a chance? Why take a chance on that? That you might have been a negative force in their life and they grew up better without you. Why not just be, like I said, do the steps of being the man that is stable spiritually, emotionally, relationally, financially. You know where you want to go in life. You know the direction you want to go. You know the type of people that you want around you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then you can choose wisely. You know what? In fact, I tell them this a lot too, that once you have boundaries and you have values, you don't have to pick the people in your life. You don't have to pick the women. Mm-hmm. Your boundaries and your values are choose for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they'll see that you're living it out. Mm-hmm. And they'll be like, oh no, he does this and does, you know, forget about whether if they say, oh, he's doing too much. Don't be caught up like Samson. Mm-hmm. Samson was drawn into things because of his eyes. What he saw. Oh, she's so attractive. She's so beautiful. You're drawn away by the eyes and then there's no substance. She's your enemy. Delilah was his enemy. Mm-hmm. All of the women that Samson went after, they were his enemy. They were from another people group that he wasn't supposed to intermarry with. And it got him in prison. It got his locks cut off, got his eyes gouged out, got him in prison. Because he went against the boundaries and the values that he was raised with. Mm-hmm. So what it is now, I'm like, my community act accordingly is really to grab men that's like-minded, that's where I'm at, and turn around and grab men of my age. There's some men that's a little older than me, but definitely the younger men and the young boys, mm-hmm. and bring them around to a place of course correction. Right. Take your eyes off of what's out there in social media, and here is what really builds a man. And we go at the bottom, and you know, really we have to start. And anybody say, well, there's no steps. The first thing a man has to do is start asking why am I like this? Mm-hmm. What got me this way? I'm not a therapist, but it goes back to childhood.
Right, I was going to say that. Mm-hmm.
It wasn't something that you didn't just choose to start acting this way as a man. You were shaped, like I said at the beginning. Mm-hmm. One of the first questions the older men, uncles and cousins, they would ask the young boys when they start going to school, how many girlfriends you got? How many girlfriends did you got? Nothing about what did he learn, right, or anything like that. Right. They already started putting him on a path for this. Now he thinks he has to perform. Oh, my uncle said I gotta have 5 girlfriends. I gotta have 6 girlfriends. They learned to perform and take on identities that they weren't supposed to have. Start having mindsets and beliefs that they weren't supposed to have. So that puts them in a place of feeling insecure about themselves if they don't have if they don't have a lot of girls that like them.
Right. Right.
It makes them feel insecure if they're not good at sports. Yeah. Because they might be more of an intellectual. They like to read, they like to debate. They might be a speaker because they can speak well. But they feel insecure and be like, that's not what a man is. They told me I got to have a lot of girlfriends. I got to be tough.
Yeah, that's sad too. That's really sad because, I mean, that's real today. With a lot of young boys, and it's that's really sad.
Yeah, we shaped ourselves. We allowed ourselves. We just hurt each other unknowingly. I don't blame the generation that was before me and what they did, but I'm like, okay, now that we've grown past that and we've grown out of it and we know better, then you know what? I was in Wingstop and I saw these young men come in. They had the Crocs on, had the slides on. They had on pajama pants, hoodie. One of the guys had a bonnet on, and I got infuriated. I wanted to say something to him about y'all don't know no better. And then I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? They probably don't know any better. Either their father looks the same way, he's not around, he's passive, and their mother runs the house, or there's just no masculine or righteous man around at all.
Right.
So now it really made me sit back and think about how I wanted to take my men's mindset and performance and not get on the guys and beat them up when I see them out in public with their pants. They might as well not have any pants on.
Yeah.
Because they got them so low underneath their butt. See their butt, their underwear, everything. Instead of getting on them like, you ought to do better than that stuff. Like, yo, my man, engage them like, yo, my man, let me ask you something. And ask them, do you know where that came from? Or not even address the fact that they have the pants on like that, but like, yo, let me ask you something, man. What you thinking about yourself long term in life? What is it that you working towards right now? Make them think about that.
Right.
And then it can go into a look of, well, you wanted to go in that direction. If somebody was to come up on you right now to offer you an opportunity, would they see you as a professional that they would want in their business? It changed. Then I'm not attacking them. Their guard is down.
Exactly.
And they think, yeah, maybe yo, you right. It's like, cause you never know where you're gonna meet your opportunity.
Right.
When I was doing network marketing, like I said, at one time I used to do a lot of coke and I used to drink a lot. And when I started doing the network marketing and I wanted to build a business, I realized I had to be sober. I couldn't just be hanging out and be high and be intoxicated, because I might run into somebody who might take my business to another level. Right. So I need to be sober minded. I don't need to smell like alcohol, and I need to kind of look in a professional way. I need to do a suit and tie or dress in slacks and a button up, but I look decent when I go out. So that way, if somebody sees me, they can take me seriously before I even say anything. They see me and I don't offend them or turn them off and be like, oh, that's so unpredictable. And they look the other way. So that's kind of an approach that I take towards the younger guys that we look at and we like, just walking around with their pants down and their hair, and they don't do their hair. And why do I, so you have to, I try and engage with them in a way that I'm not attacking them and they feel like they need to defend themselves.
Right.
But pose a question to them. It's like, so if you're really serious about you want to go to law school or you want to own your own business one day, you think somebody would actually want to give you a contract if they were to see you out like this?
Right. And that would give them something to think about.
Yeah, because it's like I could very well be the one that run up on you and say, like, hey, I'm looking to partner with somebody in that. He's saying he's taking electrician. He's to be an electrician. It's like, man, I'm looking for an electrician for my company, but and they tell me like, but you don't fit the look. It's like, this is what you normally. How do you? And you'll lose the opportunity because how they see you outside of work, they're gonna say that's the real person.
Right.
They might show up for work in a uniform, but 9 times out of, here's a phrase that it just blew me away when I heard it. And I repeat this to guys all the time now. How a man does anything is how he does everything. How you do anything is how you'll do everything. How they see you dress right now is probably how you will do otherwise.
Right.
So how a man does anything is how he'll do everything. It's like, wow.
Yeah, it is. That is. That's really something. And again, it is all about how you approach them. Because just like you said, you gotta be careful, especially nowadays, how you come up on them. You know what I'm saying? Because they be like in attack mode.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So you really have to have the right approach and to say the right thing, really.
And it's all about, you know, God designed a certain audience for each of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my life experiences, it has me in a place to where um I can kind of get along with anybody. I was that street dude,
Mm-hmm.
and I could talk to guys that was on that's selling drugs or whatever, and be like, yo, the directions that's going to take you, right? It's either this or this. And they like, and when I used to, I got their ear because
Right.
I've been there. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not just telling you to stop doing something, because there's a lot of feelings in it. Everybody doesn't sell drugs for the same reason. Some guys are selling drugs because, you know what, they don't want their mother to be buying the drugs from somebody else and to be tricking out there. They don't want their mother to be out in the street giving herself away.
Mm.
Some guys, I knew guys that's why they started selling drugs. Not because they were looking to try and be a kingpin, or to have a lot of money to buy J's. They didn't want their mother to go out there and give her body away for drugs.
Mm.
Some of them, they honestly ended up having to take care of their family, and there are some that they just did it because they got involved with it, and the money was good, and the clothes that they could buy and attract people. But there's so many different reasons why, but only somebody who's been in that environment would know all the multiple reasons on why. But when I used to do that,
Mm-hmm.
and they would look at me and be like, wouldn't believe that.
Right,
A
right.
lot of people don't believe I used to do cocaine. and I used to do lots of cocaine. I used to do a lot of cocaine. and,
Wow.
and, and it was for years. A lot of people, they would look at me and it's like, yeah, because you're meeting this Daniel. You're meeting one that has character, and I've
Right,
got boundaries. I
right,
live a righteous life now. I look nothing like what I've done in my days.
right.
I,
Absolutely.
I've got a lot of commonality with people that I've met, and I've been in environments of professional environments with lawyers and doctors. So I'm able to blend
Right,
in through
right.
different cultures. And God gave me he gave me a lot of variety in my life. So I'm able to blend with a lot of different men
And
on
I
different levels.
and I think too that when you go through something yourself, it's easier to talk to people that might be going down that same path that you went through. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have a
Precisely.
testimony. You know what I'm saying? To tell them. And
Yeah.
like I said, I always say, it's easier when you have something that you've been through, and then you can talk about it with other people. You know,
Yeah. It's,
make a
it's
difference.
definitely the truth. I mean, I raised by a single mother. My mother had me when she was 15. We grew up like brother and sister, because she was young when she had me. And, she, and well, I guess this might be getting off topic. I'm talking about men, but I was going to say this is like, why it's not that I don't have any sympathy or any compassion for a lot of single mothers, but
Mhm.
my mother, she was 15 when she had me. She never had food stamps, getting any assistance from the government, the state, in any type of way. My mother didn't date multiple men and get money from multiple men. She had to drop out of school, but she went back to school, got her diploma. She went back to college. She graduated college. She worked many jobs. She did what she had to do to make sure that we were right.
Mhm.
So I kind of don't have a whole lot of, well, these single mothers, we have it hard. I was like, man, nah, I don't want to hear all that. You
It's
know,
for
you
the
got all
younger
this, you
generation.
got all this assistance for this and this and this. My mother ain't used any of that.
Right.
And she raised me. So I know what it is to be raised by a single mother. I mean, we didn't live in poverty, but I had a lot of friends who had less, or I ain't grew up in a violent home, but I've seen the impact of it. I've had many friends that were in it. I didn't live that, but I saw up close and personal, you know, what it did. And so, I mean, I could still talk to men on that level.
Right, right.
When I got married to my first wife, I got married with a girlfriend. The day that we got married, I had a girlfriend.
Wow.
I was never an honest and faithful man, and I had multiple girlfriends throughout our marriage. I could talk to men who so I can get them at the starting point. Those that are in that type of relationship, you may not even be married, but you just having a issue with being faithful to your girlfriend or your fiance or whatever, and what you need to do before it gets to the point of you losing her. The man that might be at the very end of it, I couldn't salvage my marriage. It went too far before I decided to get myself together, but I can help. I walk men through how they could perhaps salvage it before it gets to that point. At the beginning, at the middle, at the end, I've lived it, so I can give my wisdom on it.
Right. That's awesome.
And I think that's what makes, and God blessed me with it. So now I realize why I went through so much of what I went through in my life. I've never been to the penitentiary, but I spent some time behind the wall. You know, I've done a lot of good things too. I ain't just I ain't have just a turbulent life.
Right.
You know, but I got all my children are adults now. And I prayed over my sons. I wanted to show my sons differently. I didn't want them to be following in my steps. A lot of dads, like, they won't change.
Right.
They won't change their behavior, their life pattern, and they teach their kids, their sons, those things. But my oldest son is 30, and my youngest son is 25. And I tell them all the time, man, at you guys' age, my police record, was at least 2 sheets long, front and back. I'd already fathered children. I'd been in jail. I was on cocaine and do alcohol so much. And man, y'all are doing good. You haven't fathered any children. You don't have a police record. You're not addicted to substances. You're not worried about running in the streets.
Right.
That's the greatest thing. And I want other men to be able to do that for their sons. That their daughters can look at their dad and be like, yo, my dad is this, my dad is that.
Right.
Because I went to being respectable. I was afraid that they wouldn't love me because of the years that I wasn't what I was supposed to be. But once they saw stability, they saw consistency. Right. They saw my consistency in me being stable. It's not hard to do. You just got to choose it.
You just got to choose it. Yep. That's it. Well, I appreciate everything you said. And as far as, so right now, are you like doing mentoring and stuff like that, right? So do you have certain days, or how does that work?
Right now, if any man that wants to reach out to me, you can. If you're on TikTok right now, I'm in here to act accordingly. You can DM me. I'm also on Instagram as to act accordingly, and Daniel J. Williams. If you look me up on Facebook, I'm beginning to start a men's prayer group. Yeah, I want to pray with men, once a week, and then start doing. We're gonna have Zoom conversations.
That's good.
We're gonna have conversation. We're gonna discuss things. Everything pertaining to us. We're gonna have a discussion on it. We're gonna, see how we can course correct and pivot out of behaviors that's not suiting us.
Right.
So you can DM me at any of those. To Act Accordingly here on TikTok. To Act Accordingly at Instagram. Daniel J. Williams on Facebook. And that's how they could reach out and get in touch with me and find out more about what Act Accordingly Men's Mindset and Performance is about. It's about building young men, single men, husbands, and whatever leadership role that you might be in.
Mm-hmm. Well, good. I think that's great. And again, I thank you. I thank you so much for coming back on here again with me.
I thank you.
I appreciate it. And it was a blessing, what you said, and I'm going to do put this on my Facebook as well. So because people need to hear, men need to hear this. Because it's really, and actually, if you think about it, it can be for anybody, really.
Yeah, I mean, it really is.
I know you really direct a lot of things to men, but actually it can be for women too. If they sit here and listen to it like I did, it can you can relate as well.
Yeah, it's universal, but the men we've fallen so far behind, and some of us are afraid to step up. A lot of us don't know how to step up. It's either or, afraid or don't know how to. And you know what? It's somebody has to step out and say, hey, follow me. Hey, I'll do it with you, man. I'll do it with you. So if that's you, I'll do it with you. You reach out, we'll connect, and we'll see where you are, and then we'll see where we can lead.
That's good. That's good. Well, good. Thank you so much, Daniel, for taking time out to be on here with me. I appreciate it.
I thank you again.
You are welcome. And I'm going to have you back again. That goes without saying.
I'll be happy to come back.
I think when I do it again the next time, I'm going to do it like a couples thing. So I'll have my husband with me, and then you can find out when your wife will be available, and then all four of us will be on. And I'll come up with some type of, some type of topic that we could talk about.
Sounds wonderful.
All right. Thank you again so much. And you have a blessed evening.
You continue to do the same.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.